Hello. Today I'm going to go over with everyone drama. What is a drama? What's happening when you go to watch a production or when you're reading a play? What terms are important to know and what information is essential for the best understanding of looking at these works of literature specifically, but also looking at the artistic um, value of watching a production or a play. So, what is a drama? A drama is a story enacted on stage for a live audience. So, it could be a school play you go to, it could be going to an actual production that's put on by a theater company. Anything like that is all considered a drama. The origins of drama. Well, the word drama comes from the Greek verb drawn, which means to do. The earliest known plays were written around the 5th century BC, produced for festival to honor Dionysus, the god of wine and fertility. And we can see the way their stages look, all the seating that's going up, and these would be packed to the brim with people, and the play would be taking place right in the center part for everyone to watch. So, a dramatic structure. So, when you look at dramatic structure, it's a lot like a short story where you have the plot and it's going to follow the same type of pattern. On the very beginning, you have your exposition. Characters and conflicts are introduced to the readers or watchers. And then all of a sudden, there's complications. So tension's building, it's drawing interest in. And then at the peak point is the climax. Point of highest tension, action determines how the conflict will be resolved. And then it follows down to the resolution. Conflict is resolved, the play ends. So let's take a play like Romeo and Juliet that most of us are familiar with the basic plot of. In the beginning, we are being introduced to all of the characters. And then we have this connection between Romeo and Juliet and this love that they have for each other. And we see the fighting between the families, and this is building tension. What's going to happen? And then they have this plan with the friar that they're going to um, fake the death. So everybody is wondering, well, what's happening? Is it going to work? And then they don't. And we have the unfortunate suicide of the two lovers. That's when the resolution is coming. Okay. So all this tension, what's going to happen? Are they going to escape? Are they going to be able to be in love? Is it going to work out? Oh no. They both end up passing away. And then the resolution, the conflict is resolved in the play ends. So, conflict is a struggle or clash between opposing characters or forces. A conflict may develop between characters who want different things or the same thing, between a character and his or her circumstances, or within a character who is torn by competing desires. So, just like the conflicts you have in a short story, where you have like man versus man versus self, man versus society or circumstances, the same type of conflicts come out in plays in dramas. So a play can either be a tragedy or a comedy. A tragedy is a play that ends unhappily. Most classic Greek tragedies deal with serious universal themes such as right and wrong, justice and injustice, life and death. Tragedies pit human limitations against the larger forces of destiny. In a tragedy, the protagonist of most classical tragedies is called a tragic hero. This hero is noble and in many ways admirable, but has a tragic flaw, a personal failing that leads to a tragic end. He's too proud, he's too jealous, he's rebellious. Any of these things will lead to a flaw that then causes him to have a tragic end. Then we have comedies. A comedy is a play that ends happily. The plot usually centers on a romantic conflict. For example, boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy wins girl. Usually the comedies end with a wedding. The main characters in a comedy could be anyone: nobility, townspeople, servants. Comic complications always occur before the conflict is resolved. In most cases, the play ends with a wedding. Modern comedies, things change a little bit. In modern comedies, the genders in this romantic plot pattern sometimes are reversed. A modern play may be a tragedy, a comedy, or a mixture of the two. It usually focuses on personal issues and is usually about ordinary people. Modern playwrights often experiment with unconventional plot structures, so long flashbacks, visual projections of a character's private thoughts, or music. In a play, when you are reading a play, you will have what's called stage directions. It's meant for the performers. It's meant that these actors and actresses are putting this play on in front of people. So it tells them where to go on stage or it reminds them of the emotion they're supposed to portray. An example in the first box under stage direction, it says, Wyona is sitting on the couch. She sees Paul and jumps to her feet. So we are reading the actions that she does as readers. And then Wyona, angrily, what do you want? What do you want is what she is saying, but it reminds her and it shows readers when you're reading a play. She's angry. The tone of her voice is anger. She is not happy about what's happening. In the second box, we see performance. Theater artists bring the playwright's vision to life on stage. The audience responds to the play and is able to share the same experience. Theater artists will include the actors and actresses, the directors, the lighting technicians, and the stage crew. So, how do they set up the stage? There's a couple different ways. Stages are always going to come in different sizes, shapes, and layouts. The first one we're going to look at is the thrust stage. This stage extends into the viewing area. The audience surrounds the stage on three sides. So this is going back to the Shakespearean era. Shakespearean plays were performed in this type of stage and theater atmosphere. Setting the stage. In the round stage, it's surrounded by an audience on all sides. So it's just a big circle, and all around it is people watching this production. Setting the stage for a proscenium stage. The playing area extends behind an opening called a proscenium arch. The audience sits on one side looking into the action. So that's like when you think of a school auditorium and the stage that would most likely, unless this is some absolutely amazing high tech school or a school for theater and arts, it could be something a little different. But your general generic school auditorium is going to be set up in this type of way. Stages in Shakespearean's time were thrust stages. Scene design transforms a bare stage into the world of play. So you also have people who are working on the scene design and what's going to be behind them and what's the background going to look like for a play. So these are sets, lighting, costumes, and props. Setting the stage, you could have a stage set that's realistic and detailed. So you see the flowers, the picture frames, the mirror, even back on the wall, you see a border at the top of the wall by the door. This is very detailed, lots is there. Or some stages, they prefer to have it be very abstract and minimal. They want you focused on the motion and the acting of the characters, not on the background. So the second one that just shows chairs with like a rustic type of background and nothing else, that's the abstract and minimalist type of setting. A lighting director will skillfully use light to change the mood and appearance of the set. So think in your mind, if things are dark, you're going to have one type of vision. You might think more spooky or scary. But when it's light and bright, you might be thinking, oh, happiness, great day. So these lighting directors actually take a lot of time and detail to do the smallest changes in lights from one scene to the next to make sure that the mood and the atmosphere is really connected to what's happening in the play at that time. The costume director is going to work on the costumes. And so some plays, you're going to have really detailed, extravagant outfits. If you think of Shakespearean plays, a lot of times they had that. But then if you have something like The Giver, where you have one person up there and he or she is just doing a lot of soliloquies or monologues, it might be a very minimalist type of costume because again, you're focused more on the actions and the acting of the person. You'll have props. These are items that characters carry or handle on stage. There's some examples. The person in charge of props must make sure that the right props are available to the actors at the right moments. So they're backstage holding it, ready to give it to them at that time so they can run it out there and have it for the next scene when needed. And then the characters. So the characters talk in different ways. Dialogue is conversations of characters on stage. A monologue is a long speech given by one character to others. A soliloquy is a speech by character alone on stage to himself or herself or to the audience. And then asides are remarks made to the audience or to one other character. But other characters on stage do not necessarily hear it. Two types of characters are flat characters and stock characters. Flat characters only have one or two characteristics and there's no evolution for them. They do not evolve at all. They started one way and they end that way. They are going to be boring in general. The stock character is the one that are going to grasp your attention. They're the ones that you're rooting for or against. They're going to be recognizable types of characters like the villain, the damsel in distress, the warrior, the witch, the young lover. Finally, plays need an audience. Whether you're reading a play, watching it on a screen, or watching it live, they need somebody who's going to experience the performance, understand the story, and respond to the characters. All right. So that is your intro to drama to get you set up and ready for any drama class or any type of play that you are going to be reading.